At the beginning of the 1960s, some senior politicians were saying that as a nation, we'd never had it so good. Other people were saying, a raspberry was blown in the face of an aging post-war government that seemed to have run out of steam. British politicians were being treated with less respect and more skepticism. So in the decade that would bring Americans their summer of love, we Brits got there first with the summer of satire. Spearheading this very British revolution was Private Eye. It began life as a school magazine at Shrewsbury School and was the brainchild of Willie Rushton, Chris Booker, Richard Ingrams and Paul Foote. Ingrams and Foote went on to study at Oxford, and it was here that the magazine proper finally went to print. The first issue was published on October the 25th, 1961, costing sixpence. Back then, 300 copies were distributed to coffee houses around Soho. Now, it costs £1.50 and sells around 200,000 copies a fortnight. The single image on the magazine's cover became its trademark, while inside, readers found a mixture of current affairs, cultural reviews, satirical cartoons, and now famous but previously unreported scandals in sections such as HP Sauce. Times have changed since the magazine's first publication, but its offices in Soho haven't.
The offices are in this very seedy corner of Soho. But I think that's a healthy thing, that everyone should be reminded of the squalor of the world as they pass through the door.
Today's editor was reported to be the most sued man in Britain, Ian Hislop.
Right at the beginning, what was Private Eye?
In the beginning, I think it was the jokes. It was disrespectful jokes about people and institutions that traditionally people had been very deferent about. I think after that, the stories got people going, and so suddenly you had this double-barreled effect.
And then came satire.
What did satire mean in those days?
It meant a new attitude of questioning, a new attitude of disrespect to a society which, the end of the 50s in Britain, had been pretty deferent. And that was rather shocking. So that's how the magazine set up.
Can you go too far? Can you be too inflammatory?
I think you can. I mean, I try hard not to be, because then I think you lose people. And I think what you need to do is to be able to justify the joke.
Not only has it poked fun at the nation's elite, Private Eye was also a pioneer in investigative journalism, and soon gained a reputation for running stories that were too controversial for mainstream papers.
I think when you look back at the 50 years, people will point out to the Profumo case, the great Robert Maxwell saga. They'll probably look at the Bristol Heart scandal, which the Eye was in the middle of. Some of the stuff that looks duller but actually makes a huge impact on your life. We have been there, banging away.
As a consequence of its intrepid reporting, Private Eye has been the recipient of many a libel writ. Private Eye was involved in one of the largest libel payouts in British legal history. Sonia Sutcliffe, wife of the Yorkshire Ripper, was awarded £600,000 after the Eye accused her of cashing in on her husband's notoriety. When the appeal pointed out that this was more than twice what the victims' families had received, the fine was slashed to £60,000 and sparked a reform in libel law. Torrin Douglas is media correspondent for the BBC.
Private Eye has been the court jester, prepared to say things that other people aren't prepared to say. Funny, but also with a serious intent, so that it actually exposes the great and the good and all their foibles. There have been times when it's been very strong, other times when you feel it's far less relevant. I think the fact that it's a funny magazine, a satirical magazine, has sometimes detracted from its journalism, because you don't know what is actual fact and what is just a bit of a joke.
Love it or hate it, Private Eye has now been around for half a century, telling the stories which other magazines and newspapers either couldn't or wouldn't. I know from my time in politics that the media can be a cruel mistress, but if satire is indeed telling the truth with a smile on your face, then I'm all in favour of it. Good grief, what's this? Gold. And this? £4.50, thank you very much.